Have you ever looked at the Mona Lisa and wondered about the mind behind that enigmatic smile? Or maybe you marveled at a diagram of a flying machine sketched centuries before the first airplane took flight. Both of these, and so much more, sprang from the incredible imagination of one man, Leonardo da Vinci. Today, we're diving deep into the life of the ultimate Renaissance man. Forget just being a painter. Leonardo was an inventor, a scientist, an engineer, a musician, an architect, a botanist, a writer. The list just goes on and on. He was a person whose curiosity knew no bounds and whose genius touched nearly every field of human knowledge. So, how did one man become a symbol of human potential? Let's travel back in time to 15th century Italy and find out. Leonardo was born in 1452 in a small Tuscan town called Vinci, which is where he gets his famous name. Da Vinci literally means from Vinci. He was the illegitimate son of a notary and a peasant woman. In that era, this status meant he couldn't follow his father's profession or receive a formal classical education. But what might have seemed like a disadvantage turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Free from the rigid structures of traditional schooling, Leonardo's mind was left to wander, observe, and learn directly from the world around him. He became a master of observation, and his greatest textbook was nature itself. As a teenager, his artistic talent was undeniable. His father, recognizing his son's gift, apprenticed him to one of the finest artists in Florence, Andrea del Verrocchio. Verrocchio's workshop was a bustling hub of creativity, not just for painting and sculpture, but also for engineering and metalwork. It was the perfect environment for a young, curious mind like Leonardo's. Here, he learned everything from grinding pigments and preparing canvases to the complex arts of perspective and anatomy. There's a famous story from this time. Verrocchio was working on a painting called The Baptism of Christ and asked his young apprentice, Leonardo, to paint one of the angels. When Verrocchio saw the angel Leonardo had painted, he was so astonished by its beauty and lifelike quality that he supposedly vowed never to paint again, realizing his student had surpassed him. While the story might be a bit exaggerated, it shows just how quickly Leonardo's extraordinary talent became apparent. He wasn't just copying, he was innovating. But Florence, despite being a center of art, started to feel too small for Leonardo's ambitions. He was interested in more than just painting. He was fascinated by how things worked. How do birds fly? How does water flow? What makes the human body move? So, in his early 30s, he wrote a letter to the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, offering his services. What's amazing about this letter is that he barely mentioned his artistic skills. Instead, he promoted himself as a brilliant military engineer. He claimed he could design indestructible bridges, powerful cannons, armored vehicles, and all sorts of war machines. Art was just a little side note at the very end. The Duke was impressed, and Leonardo moved to Milan, where he would spend the next 17 years. This period in Milan was one of the most productive of his life. Yes, he painted masterpieces like The Last Supper, a revolutionary work that captured the raw human emotion of the apostles in a single dramatic moment. Unlike the static, formal depictions that came before, Leonardo's version was alive with shock, betrayal, and sorrow. He experimented with a new paint technique directly on a dry wall, which unfortunately meant the painting began to deteriorate almost immediately. Yet, its power has endured for centuries. During this time, he also painted the Virgin of the Rocks, showcasing his incredible ability to paint light and shadow. A technique called sfumato, which means vanished like smoke. It's what gives his paintings that soft, hazy, and incredibly realistic atmosphere. But beyond the art, his notebooks from this period exploded with ideas. These notebooks are a window into his soul. We have thousands of pages filled with his unique mirror-image handwriting, packed with sketches and observations. He designed a tank, a scuba diving suit, a giant crossbow, and even a robot-like knight that could sit up and move its arms. He drew intricate diagrams of human anatomy, which he learned from dissecting human corpses, something that was highly controversial at the time. His anatomical drawings were so accurate that they could still be used in medical textbooks today. He was centuries ahead of his time, driven by an insatiable desire to understand not just the surface of things, but the very mechanics of life and the universe. When the French invaded Milan in 1499, Leonardo was forced to flee. He spent the next several years moving between Italian cities, working for patrons like the infamous Cesare Borgia as a military architect and engineer, before eventually returning to Florence. This is when he received the commission for what would become the most famous painting in the world, the Mona Lisa. Who was she? Most historians believe she was Lisa Gordini, the wife of a Florentine merchant, but the mystery is part of her charm. Leonardo worked on this portrait for years, carrying it with him wherever he went, constantly adding and refining. He used his sfumato technique to perfection. Look at the corners of her eyes and mouth. They are blurred, making her expression ambiguous and ever-changing. Is she smiling? Is she sad? It depends on how you look at her. This psychological depth was something no one had ever achieved in a portrait before. In his later years, Leonardo found a final appreciative patron in King Francis I of France. The king was a great admirer of Italian culture and invited Leonardo to live in a beautiful manor house. The Château du Clos-Luz, he gave Leonardo the title of first painter, engineer, and architect to the king, and most importantly, the freedom to pursue whatever he wanted. The king supposedly loved visiting him, treating him like a father, and listening to him talk for hours about philosophy and science. It was here, in France, that Leonardo da Vinci died in 1519. At the age of 67, legend has it that he died in the arms of the king himself. He left behind his notebooks, his paintings, and an incredible legacy. So, what makes Leonardo da Vinci such an enduring figure? It's not just that he was a genius painter. It's that he showed us that art and science are not separate fields. They are two sides of the same coin, two ways of understanding the world. He believed that to paint a tree, you had to understand how its branches grow. To paint a human figure, you had to understand the muscles and bones beneath the skin. His life was a testament to the power of curiosity. He never stopped asking why and how. He wasn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom or to learn from his own mistakes. He reminds us that the greatest tool we have is our own mind, and that with passion and observation, we can uncover the secrets of the universe. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a man of the Renaissance, he was a man for all time, a true inspiration for anyone who dares to dream, to create, and to question. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of a true master. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more stories from history, and let me know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.